Continuing on from the last session, you can see I've carried on replacing the car accessory bullets that replaced the original Luca connectors, swapping them out for the new, more modern Japanese style bullet connectors that have better protection against corrosion. A common problem on the older bikes, and a very common problem on this bike. I've also noticed that a lot of bypasses and dual purposes are going on in here. For some reason they've tried to run the ignition of the lighting circuit. They've done away with the power circuit and spliced into the lighting system. I can only think that they're trying to use the lighting coils on the engine to create a spark rather than relying on the battery. I can't see how that would be an advantage. So I shall be going back to original wiring diagram and putting or correcting all these homebrew solutions to problems. Of course, this means when I do get it back to standard, I will have to find out what the original problem was that made them go down this route. I'm also going to swap out the regulator rectifier for a more modern solid state system. As far as I remember, these selenium plate rectifiers tend to leak as they get older, and that alone will let the battery go flat overnight. So gradually I'll work through the wiring loom, putting on modern connectors and doing away with spliced joints. In a couple of places I found that the wires had been cut short from their original position, so rather than put in a connector, I decided to solder the extension on. I do this by twisting the wires together and then soldering the joint, as you can see here, slipping over a heat shrink afterwards. As far as I know, this is the approved method of NASA, so it can't be that bad. Couldn't interrupt one of the best guitar solos ever there. Plenty of reference to the original wiring diagram, just to keep things on track. Eventually, after plenty of soldering and plenty of bullet connection swaps, I ended up in the headlight. I'm just pushing on the plugs onto the switch gear in the headlight. One's for ignition and emergency, the other's for headlamp and pilot lamp. These can be fiddly as they're multi-pin and don't really have any positive location apart from a missing pin. With the wiring sorted, carburetor rebuilt, points and condenser changed, it is now time to try and start it. It shouldn't be too difficult, as you can see, cranking away. Well, at least it's running. Now I shall Put some petrol in it for a start, that makes a big difference. And then I shall adjust up the carburetor as best I can before taking it out on the road and getting it nice and warm. We'll try and get the carburetor a bit closer, just on the bench. Get it ticking over, and maybe a little bit high, but at least ticking over so that you can check out certain things, make sure everything's okay. There seems to be a bit of piston slap in it, so I'm sure the engine's showing its age a bit, but then they all did that. A quick recheck of all the lights, horn, tail light and brake light, just to make sure that the running of the bike hasn't altered anything in any way. That just leaves putting the saddle back on and transferring the fuel side back to its original tank. As you can see at the moment, I'm running it off a little auxiliary tank. So, bit of petrol pipe, bit of petrol in the tank, and hopefully everything will be okay. So basically that's it. Take it out on the road, run it through the gears, and that's job done. Thanks for watching.